What it is, YouTube? It's your boy Troy, and I know hoops. I told y'all last video that this was the craziest offseason I've ever seen. I've ever seen. And I didn't get to go too deep into that because of the whole Jalen Brown to the 76ers. I had to get that off. I had to get that video off. And today, this video, I'm gonna tell y'all all the trades that happened unless you've been sleeping under a rock. If you just don't got no notifications on, if you just want to wait till next season to see who's on whose team, I think that's more entertaining, honestly. But today, I'm gonna tell y'all the most significant trades that happened so far in this offseason, and let's get right into it. Okay, so first trade I want to talk about is the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade to the Miami Heat. The Bucks ended up getting Kello Ware, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Kaspras Jakunas, whatever his name is, and 3 first-round picks. Bobby Portis was also traded with Giannis as well. So one thing I do want to talk about is how long this trade took for no reason. This trade took seemingly what it felt like years, right? Giannis should have been left the Bucks. I'm not gonna lie. I think one thing that kind of turned tables on that was because of them getting Dame. I guess he didn't really want Dame. He didn't want to trade Drew Holiday, but at the time it was a good decision. Damian Lillard, all NBA type point guard, 30 point per game point guard. Why not put that with Giannis Antetokounmpo? You feel me? But Dame gets injured. Giannis also gets injured, and Giannis and the Bucks don't really have the firepower that they had when they won the championship 5 years ago. Now, one thing I do also want to note about the Heat have been in trade rumors for years. You could jersey swap a player with a Heat jersey. You can find results of those going back to all the way like 2015, 2016, when I was young, when I was in like 8th grade. You know what I mean? So you kind of got the notion that Miami Heat could just never bring a superstar to the franchise like they did with LeBron or like they did with Jimmy. Um, Jimmy took them to 2 finals, right? 2 finals, couple conference finals, and they never really got him a star, right? They never got him another guy. Sure, Bam was on the team. Tyler Hero brought some scoring punch, I guess, and they just had their whole roster active with G League players and players that they drafted late in the draft. So what I want to say to that is like, okay, like they were probably on the type time where it's like, okay, well, it's clearly working. Jimmy can drag us to this level and drag us to a finals. So we're not really tripping. But at the same time, you don't think y'all would have won a couple finals if y'all gave Jimmy the right star? You know what I'm saying? Pat Riley is also known for being extremely cheap and wants to just keep players just because. There was definitely a trade for, I want to say, Damian Lillard a couple years back. There was definitely another trade for Giannis. Miami's been trying to get Giannis for years. Donovan Mitchell was also a guy that they wanted. It's like every time someone was rumored to come there to Miami, Pat Riley will always find a way to fuck it up. And this time he didn't. This time he didn't. Um, it's crazy because Giannis was willing to go to Boston. He was willing to do a sign and trade with Boston, but Boston weren't trying to trade Hugo Gonzalez and Baylor, whatever his name is, some dude that can shoot. Boston wasn't trying to get rid of that. In addition to Jalen Brown, and obviously you can see that's what fucked the Celtics over, and that's what Miami Heat were able to get Giannis. I mean, they gave up Kello Ware, good center, very good center. He's young too, so I can tell he's gonna be really good in this league. But he was playing second to Bam, and him and Bam didn't really work together. You got Tyler Hero, health concerns, playoff dropper. He's a good scorer, but that's all you're gonna get in the regular season from him. Jaime Jaquez, good role player. He got some upside, but it's not nothing crazy to where you would want to keep him. And Kaspras Jakunas, I mean, he was a rookie or second year player. He's okay. He's pretty decent. If he gets some more development, he's going to be pretty solid. And 3 firsts, I mean, that's a pretty good haul for the Bucks. The Bucks also had a first round pick that they drafted with Braden Burries. Braden Burries, very talented guard out of Arizona, 2-way guard. You know what I mean? So the Bucks are building a roster for their rebuild. They're kind of already there at this point. They got the guys. KPJ is still there. Kyle Kuzma, for whatever reason, still there. And the Bucks are definitely going to do a rebuild now. And, shit, I mean, You got Giannis, who gave the Milwaukee Bucks a championship. That's hard in itself. That's super hard. You know what I mean? So you can't really knock Giannis. You know, he did all he could for that city. It almost seemed like Giannis really didn't even want to leave. He kept trying to psych himself into staying or whatever. Or, like, I guess he just didn't want the public to view him how they view LeBron, how they view KD, and all this other bullshit. And honestly, Giannis, you in your 30s now, bro. You a top 3, top 2 power forward all time, bro. Get more chips, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's no arguing with that because now you're on a team with Bam. But Miami also has to do some roster building. They have no good self-creation scorers outside of Giannis and Bam, and you kind of need that for a guard. Norman Powell just signed to the Chicago Bulls. You're going to expect Davion Mitchell to take somewhat of a leap, and then Andrew Wiggins is a very solid forward, but his self-creation isn't all the way there. So they need to do some things in free agency, honestly. Toss out some MLEs, toss out some vet minimums, do something because a Giannis and Bam led offense isn't going to get you but so far. Maybe second round. I see a second round ceiling from them, honestly. Like, the East is crazy right now, bro. The East is crazy, and I'm going to get into more into why the East is crazy, but this isn't enough. Davion Mitchell, whoever at shooting guard, Andrew Wiggins, Giannis, Bam, that's a good regular season team, but in the playoff matchup, I can't see them getting past the second round. That's just my opinion. Next trade we're going to talk about is LaMelo Ball to the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. The Timberwolves ended up getting Naz Reid, 3 first-round pick swaps in 2023 first, or 2033 first, excuse me. And you know what's crazy? The Timberwolves ended up moving Julius Randle, and you were kind of wondering, okay, they saving some bread. I wonder what they're doing. The Timberwolves ended up signing Ayo Dosunmu to a nice deal, but you like, damn, is this all they want to do? They just traded Julius Randle. What's going on? What's going on? Then you get this notification that the Charlotte Hornets traded LaMelo Ball to the Timberwolves, giving up Naz Reid, who feels like he's been there for forever. Shout out to Big Jelly. I want to know what the fuck the Hornets were thinking. What were they thinking? This was their first good season in a couple years. They were one playing game away from a playoff berth. They would have won up against the Pistons, and you can argue that the Hornets probably would have won that series. You can argue the Pistons would have won that series. It was definitely going to be a 50-50 series for sure because the Pistons went 7 games with the Magic. You know what I mean? So I really want to know why the Hornets did this. Because obviously LaMelo Ball had injury concerns and whatnot, but he played damn near a full healthy season. And after the All-Star break, they had like the second best, first best record in the league. And you got to wonder, like, first of all, what does this do for Khan, Knipple, Brandon Miller? You know what I mean? LaMelo Ball was an excellent playmaker. As much as he was a great scorer, he was an excellent playmaker as well. Allowing Khan Knipple to get open through off balls and allowing Khan to be in the right positions. Brandon Miller, his shot creation is getting better, but he kind of did need LaMelo Ball to send him up a few times. And even though Miles Bridges literally just got traded to the Phoenix Suns, Miles Bridges also benefited from LaMelo. And Moussa Diabate also benefited from LaMelo. Now you're trading LaMelo, and now you have Kobe White starting at point guard. Kobe White is a good scoring guard. He's not a playmaker by any means. His ceiling could be like, what, 5-6 assists? You know what I mean? And like, why do y'all do this when this was literally your best floor raiser, your best playmaker, most nights your best scorer? What was the point? What was the point? Now y'all gonna have to go through another rebuild. Another rebuild. Because as talented, as young and talented as the Hornets are, bro, they still don't have the guy anymore. And the guy was LaMelo. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know the whole purpose of why they did that. It gotta be some inside stuff going on, bro, because they really had no reason to do this. This damn near feels like, I'm not gonna say it has the same value, but it's kind of given that Luka to the Lakers trade, whereas though it's like, I don't think y'all had any reasoning as to why y'all did this. I don't think there was a reason. Y'all probably don't even know the reason. You know what I mean? So all in all, great move for the Wolves. The Wolves finally got a point guard. You know, they're down a power forward though. Kind of strange, but you know, Hornets, they're going to go back into poverty at this point. They have some good young talent, but they need a point guard, bro. And LaMelo is box office. LaMelo would have gave him that edge in the playoffs. LaMelo would have gave him everything that they needed that they're missing right now, and they trade him for Nas Reed. You didn't need Nas Reed. You know what I mean? And then it's like you definitely could have got a better package than that. You definitely could have got a better package than that for sure. I don't know, man. I don't know. But let's move on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't really know if this is a needle mover for them. Bench still sucks. They brought in Isaiah Evans from Duke. That's my guy. No, Al Sumu, I'd imagine, can most likely start. I don't think they're going to be paying him $20 million a year just to come off the pond. Jay McDaniels is still there. Rudy Gobert is still there. Honestly thought Rudy would have been traded out of everybody, but it is what it is. But a LaMelo and Anthony Edwards backcourt is ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous. It's going to be a fun backcourt. Definitely excited to see how they're going to gel together. All in all, Minnesota just needed a point guard. Mike Conley was feasible for the years that he was there and whatnot, but Mike Conley's old. You know what I mean? So I do expect the Timberwolves to at least be a fifth seed, sixth seed. You know what I mean? Definitely no playing. I think just the offensive firepower of Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball can be enough to win you about 40-something games. LaMelo does have to be healthy, but I guess that's what they signed Aldo Sumu for that extension for or whatever. But both these two playing on the court at the same time, I think is going to be pretty cool. Pretty cool. They're going to be a fun team. I wouldn't consider them like a powerhouse team or like a team that I can for sure bet would be a conference finals appearance team or a finals appearance team. But this is a talented team. They're talented. I think they can scrape out a couple wins, like over 40. But it kind of depends on the late game execution for the T-Wolves. It also kind of depends on how this offense is going to be ran. Sometimes they will have Ant move the ball, control the ball at point, but Ant can play more off ball now. It will kind of benefit Ant more to play off ball now that he's like racking up knee and ankle injuries and shit like that. LaMelo Ball also has the same problems, but hopefully they can gel together and hopefully they can be a good force in the West. The next trade I'm going to talk about, and it hurts to announce this because I am unfortunately a Clipper fan. Kawhi Leonard traded to the Toronto Raptors for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 3 first-round picks, and a couple seconds. I honestly thought we were going to get somebody like Colin Murray Boyles or Jacoby Walter along with Brandon Ingram, but those two players were untouchable for Toronto. Toronto is building a pretty significantly good team right now. Just the other defense of Scotty Barnes, Kawhi Leonard, Colin Murray Boyles, and then you got Jacoby Walter coming off the bench. You got Emmanuel quickly at guard. You still got Jakob Polo, who's like decent or whatever. But that's a pretty good forward rotation defensively. Offensively, I don't know how it's going to go. Kawhi is a great off-ball offensive player. He's a good on-ball offensive player as well. But what you really want to wonder is, okay, so now what's this do for Scotty? Because it obviously could upgrade his playmaking ability because Kawhi is better than Brandon Ingram. You know what I mean? But you also got that notion of Kawhi being pretty injury prone. Kawhi just played what I thought was like a top 3 season for him, averaging about 28 points, shooting extremely efficient. Brought the Clippers back from 6-21. They started 6-21, bro, and Kawhi brought them back all the way to a 42-win team. And you kind of gotta wonder, like, the Toronto Raptors are championship contenders. Now, like I told y'all before, the East is getting crazy. The East is crazy as hell right now. But the fact of the matter is, Kawhi coming back to Toronto is crazy. Won them a chip in 2019, been away from them for about 7 years. 7 years, if my math is correct. But, yeah, and then now he comes back, and they're automatically a playoff contender again. They were already a playoff contender without him, but Toronto got off Brandon Ingram, and, you know what I mean, like, Brandon Ingram, like, he's cool for the regular season. Don't really know about playoffs anymore, honestly. He's still young, though. Still in his 20s, late 20s, but Brandon Ingram is still a feasible regular season player. Grady Dick is a good rotational player. Giving up them first round picks can hurt potentially, especially considering that Kawhi is on the later ends of his 30s. I think he's about 37, 36. So Toronto has to capitalize on that championship window right now, especially considering that Kawhi only wanted to go to a team that would have gave him an extension about 2 years or something like that. So, you know, it is what it is with that. From the Clippers' perspective, the Kawhi era was fun to watch, but it's not fun having a team you know is going to compete but just never goes anywhere. I'd rather just watch a team that's ass and then look forward to who they're going to draft in the draft or who they're going to get if they end them like the lottery, if they have enough money to sign people. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably the only beneficiary to being a fan of an ass team. Whereas though being a fan of a mediocre team, you're like always in purgatory. You never know where you're going to go because you're going to compete, you're going to win, but you don't know if you're going to be a first round exit. You don't know if you're going to be a second round exit. For the Clippers standpoint, you don't know if Paul George or Kawhi is going to play. Then you have Harden now. You don't know if Harden's going to choke in the fucking playoffs. Now Kawhi's out for a better half of the year. You got Norman Powell being your secondary scorer. You know what I mean? I feel as though the Clippers definitely peaked in 2021. 2021 was definitely the year because they made it to the conference finals. Kawhi got hurt. They took the Suns to 6 games. You can argue they should have won that shit because of the dumbass valley oop and then Paul George missing free throws in a crucial game. But it is what it is. That was the Clippers' peak. Reggie Jackson at point guard was fun. Terrence Mann has good games. Zubac, shout out to Zubac. But the 213 era is over. They're going in a completely new, different direction now. During the whole Kawhi and Paul George fiasco, the Clippers did not have a say in their future because of the picks. OKC had all of their picks. And, now the Clippers have 9 first-round picks in 6 seconds going through 2033. So they also have a nice future with Darius Garland, Brandon Ingram. Their team is getting younger. They had Benedict Mathurin. Who knows if they're going to re-sign him. He's a restricted free agent. Yannick Nienhuiser was a late first-round pick, but he showed some really good flashes. We had Kobe Sanders, second-round pick, who was blossoming with Harden and was really there for us when we was in the negatives and the standings and stuff like that. Started getting more playing time. We started winning more games. That's why you got to play younger players, bro. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who can contribute. So I think, honestly, the Clippers are going to make more moves. They're in the rumor mill of getting Trey Murphy. I don't really know how that's going to go. But the Clippers are definitely busy. They're definitely not done. And a lot of people are saying, oh, yeah, them 2033, them 2030 picks are so late. We said the same thing when we traded Shaq. Oh, yeah, them picks are late as fuck. It's not going to matter. And the Thunder built a whole squad. You know what I mean? And we also still have the Pacers pick in 2029. So we have a good amount of first-round picks. And, of course they're far right now. But like I said, far is far until it's right in front of your face. You know what I mean? So overall, man, shout out to Kawhi. Love everything he did for the Clippers. He was hurt a lot. It's fairs. You know what I mean? Went out better than Paul George did. And, yeah, I mean, since the West isn't as hard anymore, I do see the Clippers making a play-in run. There's no reason that they shouldn't win over 35, 40 games. They still got Ty Lue at head coach. Ty Lue has done better with worse with this roster, so I think they're going to be pretty solid. Last trade I'm going to talk about for today, Ja Morant to the Portland Trail Blazers. The Grizzlies era is over. Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson, all gone. You kind of got to wonder, like, this was a fun team to watch, but they crumbled so quickly. They crumbled so quickly, bro. And, like, now they're in the rebuild phase. They were just in the rebuild phase with Ja Morant. You know what I mean? And it was a fun rebuild. They were competing. They were in the playoffs consistently. They had that amazing series with Golden State, Ja Morant and Steph Curry going bam for bam. I don't think Ja is done, though. I think Ja just needs another change in scenery. Obviously, he had the off-the-court issues or whatever, but it is what it is. He's going to Portland, Oregon, so I would imagine that he won't really be doing shit out there instead of obviously just working out and shit. I would hope, no disrespect to Oregon, but, don't really hear much about Portland over there. But Portland's problem is now they have 5 playable guards. They have Ja Morant. They got Damian Lillard ramping up from an Achilles injury coming back this season. Drew Holiday. Scoot Henderson, who they wasted a second overall pick on. And then if you count Denny Avdia as a guard, he plays point guard, but he's really a forward. He's like 6'8", 6'7". So I wonder how their lineups are going to work. A Ja and Dame backcourt doesn't move me in the slightest, though. I feel like I don't really think that, first of all, defensively, this isn't a good backcourt. And then on top of that, you still got Denny Avdia, who is the ball handler, right? I wonder if those opportunities are going to go back to Dame. Denny probably won't be as effective with the ball outside of his hands, him being an off-ball player and whatnot. But Dame is a good off-ball player, so hopefully that means more Dame off-ball, and it can be less on his Achilles and shit like that. But Portland's just doing shit, honestly. I think Portland did have the roster to make better trades, though, but it is what it is. I thought they were going to hop in on the Jaylen Brown sweepstakes. That was actually one of my dark horses to get Jaylen Brown because nobody's worried about the Portland Trailblazers, you know what I mean? So overall, though, I mean, it was a whatever type of move for me. I didn't really care. So yeah. And last but not least, LeBron James has left the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what he's going to do. A lot of people are saying Philly. Some people are saying he going back to Cleveland. Some people are saying he's going to Miami. But one thing is, apparently, no team is really out the cards for LeBron. And it's not even about the money. He wants another ring. Fair. So I find it really interesting to see where LeBron is going to go. The Lakers, Rob Pelinka and them, they're doing whatever they can, I guess. But LeBron's tenure on the Lakers, it was pretty fun. Won him a championship. Got him in the playoffs multiple years. Obviously, injuries tell kind of some of the story with that, and also just the roster building that they had to do over there. It wasn't really fun after 2021. They weren't really good at roster building and shit like that. They made it work, though, a couple times, but it is what it is. That's how the cookie crumbles. Wherever LeBron's going to go, they're automatically going to be a championship contender. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. If he goes to Philly, that's fucking crazy, though. If he goes to Philadelphia, that's crazy, so I ain't going to lie. But that's going to be it for me, man. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I am out. Peace.